Today, world is living in a fear. Am I right? They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We think what's going on. We don't know. But if you trust God and have a faith, everything's going to be okay. First verse that I like to read is Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So, God is not pleased with us if we don't have a faith. And you're going to hear later on in a story what kind of faith some people had, and I question myself too. What kind of faith sometimes do I have? And maybe you can ask yourself too. Hebrews 11, verse 7. We're going to stay in Hebrews, so you know that. By faith, Noah began divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. Noah was preaching and building ark for 120 years. Sometimes it's beyond my mind thinking 120 years. He believed, he had a faith in God. He believed what God said. He's going to destroy the earth. He's going to destroy people because there were violences on the earth. God could not look over that anymore. So he wanted to destroy everything. So he told Noah, prepared for you in your household. Now that's a faith that Noah had. I can assume and I can imagine people were laughing at him, thinking he's a little bit crazy. What are you talking about? Flood. We never had a rain. We never had flood. What are you talking about? But Noah believed in God, what he said. So he continually built ark for him, for household, and for animals. Do you think he was able to get all those animals from out there in the land by himself? Not possible. Never. God did it. So 2 by 2, they were coming in the ark. And people were watching and laughing. What kind of a thing this man is doing? But we know what happened. We know the story. I'm going to mention few people in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. Now, that's a faith that he had. And I'm going to tell you what kind of faith I had when I and my wife decided, well, actually, we prayed about it, to move out of city, just to listening sermons and things what's going on. What Ellen White says, we need to move out. My thing was to move to California and no one could change my mind until we start reading prophecy, what's happening. God changed my mind. Not me. God did it. So where are we going to go? We prayed to Lord where to go, where to move. I said Sacramento, it's not a right place. It's not a good place for us to be there. We already knew Arkansas very well. My friend Dragan, and we were coming for 40-some years, vacationing here. So I said, well, let's pray to see if it's time to go to Arkansas. Well, we could not find anything to Arkansas, so we find something in Missouri. Talking about Abraham faith, he was going without knowing. Well, guess what we did? Well, we came down there and looked to see where we're going to go. Now, is that a faith? Usually that's what we do. I want to see the place where I'm going to be there. Abraham did not do that. He had a faith, and he went without knowing where he goes. But it's amazing what God did and how we bought the land. We were looking all over and over, and it's just amazing what God did for us. I cannot go into all the details. My wife was telling me, don't go into details. And I'm well known to go in every little details. But if I do this, every little details, especially in Guam, I can guarantee you, you're not going to have a lunch. Maybe not even a dinner. So I really have to be careful. How much can I say it? But my wife said just get to the point, but that's not me. I like to tell all the details. Hebrews 11. Verse 17. You already know what it says. No, not 17. 11:29. By faith, they passed through the Red Sea as by the dry land. Now, that was a faith that Moses had. How much faith people had? Not much. Not at all. They came to the Red Sea. There's no other place to go but go into a water. Egyptians were coming with horses, soldiers, and they were crying to Moses, you brought us up here, we're going to get all killed. No faith. But Moses said, watch the miracles. What God can do when he split the sea. Now, when I think about it, splitting the sea, and it was dry. You know, if you divert the water, let's say a creek or any little river, it's going to be muddy. You're going to get stuck, especially at the sea. I could imagine to see all the cattle passing through, they would be stuck. They wouldn't be able to get through. But God made it possible. And they crossed the Red Sea. Now, when the Egyptians came with their horses, they were watching what's happening. They went in. They think they're going to get him now. But when water got together, they all died. All lost their lives. Horses, Egyptian, Pharaoh was left all alone. He said that Moses' God is God. He's a real God. I got to tell you a little bit, how did I know Kenneth Cox? In the year 2000, he had evangelistics meeting. They called Crusade. And so all the churches got together. There was a pretty large place where they were holding the sermons every night except Monday and Thursday. And the pastor were telling us we need to help, each church need to help with something, being ushers or deacon, whatever it needs to be done. And I said to myself, to pastor, I said, well, I can't be there every day. I got business to run and things like that. Well, guess what? I never missed one event. Never missed one sermon. The first one, what it got me, stayed there for every single one. So after 4 weeks, Kenneth Cox, we got to know him together. I came there every night, 45 minutes before we are going to start the sermon. And I was sitting at the front of the pews, and Donna Klein, you guys know who's Donna Klein. She's the one that plays organ. She came to me and says, hello, sir. Would you like to join us for the prayer? They have half hour before meetings, sermon, they have prayed together in group. And I said, sure. And I was there every single day. And I made sure I brought the water and things for them, and my wife was feeding them every Sabbath, which it wasn't very easy. All the 3ABN crew, the singers, Kenneth Cox team. So it was some job, but at least my wife said, at least I can feed those people. So 4 weeks into that, 1 week before it's over, Kenneth Cox came to me and he said, Denny, I'm going to ask you a question, but please do not answer now, because I know what your answer would be. He says, I would like for you and your wife to be a board member in our Kenneth Cox ministry. I said, board member? I said, Ken, who's going to be on the board? Well, president of that, president of 3ABN, Jim Gilley, Denny Shelton, president of a conference in Texaco, secretary. I said, Ken, what am I going to do? I said, all those pastors and secretaries, and I said, what am I going to do there? I manufacture, make welding torches. Well, he said, you might have to weld somebody together, you know. I said, okay, whatever. So I went home, I told my wife, and we prayed for a week, every single day. Lord, give us a sign. Shall we be there or not? Am I right the person? And answer was yes. We got excited more and more. So we were going to meetings, of course, every month to Tennessee. And after 2 years, Ken was asking me if it's possible that you can travel with us for the meeting. He said, we need you. We need help. And he had so many things to be displayed, things, and so he needed help. And sure, I did. Little by little, before you know, I was there with him 5 weeks at a time. Different states, different cities. And one January or February, he had a meeting in Wisconsin. And February in Wisconsin, snow was up to here. And I say, Ken, who in the world makes this decision? He goes, well, I knew you would do something good about it. He said, Pastor Jerry, he's the one who schedules. I said, I need to talk to him. January in Chicago and Wisconsin, that's a no-no. Why not Florida? Why not Georgia? Anywhere down south or California will come here in Chicago in summer times. So we changed that. We were able to change that. So we knew already a year and a half in advance where we're going to go. And time came that we need to go to Guam. Ken was asked to come to the Guam to have a series for 5 weeks. And Ken called me, he says, Denny, it's pretty close time to make some arrangements for traveling. I say, yeah. He says, I would like you to come to Guam with us. Well, my wife could not go because her mom was in hospice at home, so she had to take care of her mother. So I went by myself, and that's what happened. When I got to Guam, I didn't know what time was. I did not know what day was. You know, when ministry makes a reservation for you flights, Chicago, Houston, LA, Honolulu, Guam. By the time I got there, I was like a zombie. I did not know what time. I lost the tracking of time. So in the morning, I got there. I didn't know what time it was, but I know it was early in the morning. It was 8 o'clock when I arrived at Guam Airport. I had no idea who was going to pick me up. Where am I going to go? But Ken, he knew. He had all those arrangements. So he was there. When I walked out, he was there waiting for me. And I said, Ken, what time it is and what day it is? He said, well, it's Monday, 8 o'clock. It was 8:30 exactly. I said, all right. So we got in a car and we got to the parking lot where we stayed at the conference. Conference had housing. So we were treated royally. We had nice place to stay. We had 2 bedrooms where Chuck and I stayed in one of the condo, 2 bedrooms, kitchen, living room. So it was beautiful. So when I got to the parking lot, I saw all the Kenneth Cox team was standing out there. And I said, oh, wow, they're waiting for me. They couldn't wait to see me. But that wasn't the case. I said, what are you guys, you waiting for me? He goes, Donna says, yes, and we're going to prison. Oh, wow, prison, okay. I never been in a prison in my life. Don't know what it's like. Never been handcuffed. I said, okay, so what Ken was doing, every Monday and Thursday, we were going to prison, preach, preparing people for baptizing. So there were 26 people out there in prison. So when we got there, they already knew them, they knew the team. They didn't check very well. I'm sure they would be checking today. But when I got there, I'm a new guy. So they checked me out, no phone. So I had to take my phone back to the car. When we got through the inside jail, everything was, bars. You could see the people out there, but those are heavy, heavy bars. And once you go through there, there's a section where everybody gets in, and then door slams behind you. When that door slammed behind me, that's the first time I heard doors slam behind me in a prison, I got goosebumps. It's a different feeling, awful feeling. And then they open other door. We go outside to another building. They had a little chapel, and that's where we spend every week, Monday and Thursday. Now, out of 26 people, 16 people got baptized in prison. They had were baptized outside the tub, whatever you call it. It was never used. First time when we were there. And 16 people got baptized in a prison. I was excited after a while to see. We could not go anywhere. There was guards all over the place. You could see some people out there. And the guard says, oh, you don't go there. You stay here. You're not allowed to be there. Those are ones that are a little more tougher than what you're going to see. So we were there talking to them, and I met one guy. His name was Paul. He was the leader of that group. He played guitar, songs, service starting. And so I talked to him and I said, Paul, how much time more you got to go? He goes, 8 years. Oh, I said, wow, that's a long time. He goes, no, it's not a long time. I'm happy that I found Jesus and I'm preaching here. And I'm going to be preaching for next 8 years. That changed my thinking. For him, it was short time. Now, at the same time, his wife was coming to the meetings and we did not know her. So he told us where she's sitting. He knew where she was sitting. 4th row aisle, middle aisle on the right. So that's how we found his wife. We knew, I don't know the name now. So she got baptized too at the end of the meetings. That was unbelievable. Out of that meeting, the very last week, Monday, one pastor came to us and he says, we're going to be in trouble. And Ken says, yeah, what kind of trouble? They don't have no TV. We didn't watch it, but pastors at home, they had TV. They watched the news and everything. He said, typhoon is coming. And usually typhoon comes right over Guam. Typhoon never misses Guam. The Guam was the path for typhoon. I don't even know what typhoon was. Ken says, okay, we'll see what happened. One Thursday morning, it was early in the morning because we had to get up at 6 o'clock. You know, Ken gets you up 6 o'clock. It doesn't matter. You have to get up 6 and we go for exercise, for a walk and all that, what it comes with. So I was standing on one of the foundation and I was walking right on a foundation. I had no idea. I knew it was something there. And one of the pastor's son, he said, you see where you're standing here, we used to live there. 2 years ago, we had typhoon, wiped the whole thing, belongings and everything. I said, wow, this is incredible. I didn't know that typhoon is that strong. Now, At the same time, my wife was watching History Channel. She was watching what happened 2 years ago in Guam. I had no idea, but she would not tell me, and I was not telling her what's coming. I don't want her to worry about it. So, Friday morning, typhoon is coming closer and closer. And pastors were very scared for some reason. One pastor, he came, he says, Ken, typhoon is very close. Right now it's 140 miles an hour, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And it's coming right to the Guam. If you look at the path and you say, it won't miss. What are we going to do? Ken says, well, I don't know yet. We'll find out. Saturday morning, clouds covered the whole Guam. The island was covered with a heavy, dark cloud. You could see a little wind, not a lot, but just a little wind. Pastor come again, he says, Ken, we're going to go to church, but the typhoon is coming, and it's going to land on Guam Sunday, 7 o'clock evening. That's when we're supposed to start crusade. 7 o'clock. What are we going to do, Ken? If you know Ken, he's very easy, he's very calm. He doesn't jump. All those pastors were just scared. And Ken comes to me and he said, Denny, did you see how much faith those guys have, those pastors? There were 7 pastors out there, 7 churches. I said, well, I don't know how much faith they have. I said, but they're probably scared what happened 2 years ago or before. Because I know, but we need to have some faith. God brought us here so we can running and hiding ourselves? He goes, I don't think so. I don't know where was my faith at that time. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just excited that I'm going to be in typhoon. Am I going to be floating up there somewhere? I don't know. But there was something new for me. So we had to set up stage. That was a university that we have to set up the stage. We had only Saturday night and Sunday morning. That's it. We were supposed to get Thursday and Friday to do all the setup, but because they had fight, those guys, they come and fighting, we couldn't. They had Friday night, their fight. And so we have only nothing but Saturday. Saturday after Sabbath closed, after we closed the Sabbath, we went down to the university, to the gymnasium, which was very large, except 2,000 people. So we start working. The pastor were coming in every half an hour. Ken, typhoon wind right now, it's 160 miles an hour, and it's coming right over Guam. And government will shut down power so nobody gets hurt. Ken says, okay, whatever happens, we'll deal. We'll ask Lord what to do. But I would say it was around 10:30 at night. We were doing all the work. I had to do all the electrical work. Pastor come again. He says, Ken, we are in a deep trouble. Typhoon's coming tomorrow, 7 o'clock. It's going to hit the land. Power will be off. Okay? Ken says, that's fine. We need to finish our job. So 11:30, Ken came to me and he says, Denny, I need you to get all the workers to come here in front of the stage. All the pastors, everybody. We had like 26 people helping us. Even children that were helping us. We never had that kind of help in the United States. Never. Barely if you can get 2 guys to help you with the setup. So I got all the people, 11:30, at the front of the stage. Ken went up, and he was reading some verses from Bible. I don't remember, but it was about faith. And he said, is there anyone here that don't believe in God's miracle? If there's someone like that, I want you to walk out of the gymnasium, because we're going to pray. Wow, that was a strong words. I want you to walk out if you have no faith. Nobody raised a hand. So who had faith, what had faith, I don't know. But then he invited those 7 pastors to come up. The stage was a lot higher than this. It was about that high, so nobody can jump up, I guess. He invited all the pastors on a stage, and he says, after my little reading and sermon, 5 minutes, I want all of you guys to pray. I'm not going to tell you what to pray, but I need you to pray. What do we need from God? So they were praying, and I don't remember what they were praying, what they were talking about. But Ken was the last one who prayed. And I know a few words. I'll never forget. He was praying to God. He said, Lord, I know you didn't brought us here to be scared like a chickens. You did not brought us here to hide somewhere from the storm. You brought us here to witness, to preach. There are so many people that need to know about you. I am asking you, Lord, to turn that typhoon 180 degrees. That's all I'm asking. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what others were thinking. But God, Kenneth Cox, he asked God to return the typhoon 180 degrees. It never happened like that in a lifetime. Always goes there. It goes to Philippines out there. It just destroys as much as possible. Devil had his mission to destroy all of us, to mess up 5 weeks. If typhoon would come through there, typhoon was at the end 200 miles per hour. So if 200 miles hits the land, and those homes are not really, you know how what kind of homes they are, very little homes, they would destroy everything. No one would be able to come to the meetings. I don't know if we would get electricity. So when he prayed, asked God to return that typhoon 180 degrees. We were finished with all the work. We went home 2 o'clock in the morning, get some rest, and we had to come back 10 o'clock in the morning to finish what we need to do. And we were outside having breakfast, Kenneth Cox team, and here's the pastor running up a hill to see us. He says, Ken, you're not going to believe what happened. That typhoon turned around and went back to the ocean. I said, what do you mean? I'm not going to believe. I believe. That typhoon turned around 180 degrees at that time, which never happened before. So the radio stations and television stations, they heard that Ken was asking God to return the typhoon in the ocean so no one would get hurt. They wanted to see that man who changed the weather. He says, Ken, they called me and they told me you have to come to the station. You have to tell people what happened. Well, he had no choice. So he was on the radio for about 15, 20 minutes, telling people, it's not me. I didn't do it. But I asked God to do it. I'm sorry. Every time I talk about it, it's hard to explain when you are there. When you see what's happening. So he was on the radio, and he says, folks, it's not me who changed the direction of typhoon. I said, we prayed and we asked God to do that. And he's the one who can do it, not us. And they were amazed. The clouds were disappearing. Sunday morning, they were going away. 5 o'clock afternoon, we went to the stadium. We did earlier, went to finish everything up, polish up, whatever needs to be done. And 7 o'clock when it came, well, actually before 7 o'clock it starts. Friends, I never see anything in my life. People were coming in pickup truck. People were sitting in the back. The truck was loaded with people. Like they were they're driving or having a bunch of pumpkins, you know. All you see is the heads. They were coming truck after pickup truck, cars. It was so busy that we had about 1,400 people first night. 1,400 people. There were no typhoon. It went to the ocean. Now that's when you have a faith. At the end, the very last Sabbath, 687 people were baptized. But in the meantime, devil was angry and he got all of us sick. I developed headache I never had in my life. So at night I was putting my feet in a hot water and they were putting ice on top of my head to relieve the headaches. But we were thankful for Dr. Hugo. He was there. He was treating us so well, giving us what we need. Some, I would say, medicine, but you know, some doses that would knock your pains away. So he brought me a pain. He said, well, I used it for a couple of hours. I said, Dr. Hugo, that's not helping me. I said, I need something better than that. I said, I can't function. He went and he got me another bottle. He goes, you take this one at a time when you need it. when I took first one, I was happy. So I don't know what he gave it to me. So it was some strong medication. Ken got sick. Gordon got sick. The lady that sings, they got sick. We all got sick. They will try to squeeze you, get you sick, so you can quit. But we got thankful for God that He put Dr. Hugo there. It just happened for him to be there. It was on a missionary trip. It just happened. They had an SDA clinic out there, so we were going there once in a while, and Dr. Hugo was working there, so he kept us moving. Now, when time came for baptism, there was one Saturday before baptism. Ken says, well, all those who are not married, they need to be married. I will marry you right here in a gymnasium. I can't baptize you if you're not married. If you're living together, I never saw such a sad faces in my life. You think when somebody gets married, should be happy. But those people, they already live together. And for one reason, they live together for benefits. So they didn't want to lose the benefits. The one guy said, well, we're going to lose all the benefits. How can I get married? Well, do you have a trust in God? Will God take care of you? If you trust Him, He will take care of you. Well, 3 people did not got married, so they were not baptized. But later on, I heard pastors married them, and they got baptized 2 weeks later. So praise God, there were 687 people baptized at that time in Ocean. I never been baptism in Ocean. I was the photographer for Kenneth Cox. He said, Denny, I need you to take a bunch of pictures. We had 10 pastors out there in the Ocean. They were baptizing people. Ken was sitting on top of the hill with a mic so they can hear him. So I didn't have a jacket, but I had suit and I had my tie. It was pretty hot. And I was taking pictures, people getting baptized, and I was walking in the water. I totally forgot that I was in the water with my suit, with my shoes. And I was going in the back, and as I was going in the back to take picture from the sides, the one guy was yelling me. He says, stop, sir, don't go there. It's a drop. They already know the area. He said, you're going to drop, you're going to lose your camera, and whatever. It won't be good for nothing. So I backed up. I was so excited to see such a baptism in Ocean. I wanted to get baptized myself. I had to throw away my shoes. I had to throw away my paints. With the salt and all that nothing was good anymore. So the very last Sabbath, when after baptizing people, Ken had to go home Sunday morning. He had to change. He was supposed to stay another week, but he was so sick with his heart, he had to go home. So he had to take first flight to go home. And his daughter in California, Yucaipa, she arranged everything to go see a doctor. And he was getting a pacemaker. I think that's what they call pacemaker. So he got that, and we stayed another few days. So there were baptism Sunday morning. It was beautiful Sunday morning. It was so great. No clouds. It was sunshine. I think it got about 60 people. Then it got baptized. There's so many people out there that need the Lord, but just didn't have any idea, no clue how to get to God. That place was so well advertised with bulletin board. 8 feet high, 16 feet long. Now, that's a big board. 7 of them in Guam. And Guam is only 15 miles wide, 30 miles long. That's it. So they had 7 of those, so nobody could miss that bulletin board. It was right there on every major intersection. There was a lady sitting second row. I was on the first row and some other team. And she was dressed, I don't know what do you call, but she was a queen from one of the islands. She was the queen. I had no idea. And the very last Sabbath, Ken had asked for donation because it cost money to come there, to ship everything, and especially Donna's organ. Oh, I wish that Chuck would sometime leave the door back open so that organ can just come out. It's about 800 pounds organ, very heavy, but she could not play without that organ. So she had to take with her wherever we go. So Ken was asking for donation, and that lady, that queen, she donated $10,000. Ken was telling Gordon, I said, Gordon, as soon as you're done counting money, would you please come forward, let me know. I like to tell people, thank you, to see what that we got. So Ken was almost done with the sermon, and he called me, come here. He says, can you go see Gordon, what's going on? I need to have those numbers. What do we got? I came in the back. I said, Gordon, Ken needs to know how much we got. He goes, Denny, we're still counting. They were still counting. So I went back to Ken. I said, Ken, they're still counting. And the trip cost $40,000 with everything. And they received $45,000. What God can do when you ask Him, when you have a faith, when you believe in Him. So we need to believe in Jesus Christ. What can He do today? Look what He did with Guam. I can never forget that as long as I live. Or until Jesus comes back. It stays in your heart. Next time when I'm here, I'm going to tell you a difference. I have so many stories when you work for Kenneth Cox. When you work for ministry, you got things to talk about it. I'm going to tell you next time. It's going to be about stubbornness. I was the one who was stubborn. There's a certain way I wanted to travel, but God says, no, you cannot do that. You have to go this way. No, Denny wanted to go that way. It didn't work. It cost me a bunch of money just because I didn't listen to God. But that's a different story. I will tell you later next time what God can do if you believe Him. And today world is living in fear. I just hope that we don't live in a fear. Because we know our true God. We know what He can do. He's going to come back and take us with Him. If we believe, if we have relationship with Jesus Christ every single day. Soon as you don't have relationship with God, things going to happen. Your mind's going to run different way. You're going to be scared. Oh, what's happening? But if you have a Christ in your heart every single day, there's nothing to worry about it. Well, I hope you guys learned something from that. and stay faithful. That's all it is. And may God be with you. Thank you.